As you've probably guessed by now, I am cutting a massive hole in the floor of this car, and that's so I can fit a new floor pan. So what I'm going to do is clean up this ridge along here and then drill out all of the spot welds. With the floor removed, it's easier to see what's going on. So on this side, everything looks pretty good. All of this looks really solid from the outside. And here, I think it's mostly solid. There's a small hole here that I need to repair. So I'll do a small patch there. Over here, I did do a patch when I first bought the car. So there was a big sort of hole here, and I just got a piece of steel and fabricated it into a shape to fit there. It's not the best welding, but it's good enough. And I'll clean up this as well. This is where I made my hole before. And here you can see that I've gone along this side and I've made these holes, and that worked out pretty well. At the back here, it was quite hard to drill out the spot weld, so I ended up just grinding off the underneath. So the plate obviously was sitting underneath there before, and I ground that out. Here I have already made a little plate here, and I'm fabricating up these bits of steel with these cutouts, and so that allows me to sort of bend it into shape. So once I've removed all of this stuff here, I will just bend this around, and I'm going to make a new piece for here. All the way along this side, I will need to make a new piece of steel. And this is the view from underneath. So all the way along, I'm going to need to make a little piece that comes down and attaches onto the floor pan. But I think I'll get the floor pan in place first. This is the view under the back. So bits like here, this was just rotted, so I'll just cut this out and I will put a new one in place when the time comes. This is underneath the rear, so this is the bit that I've already removed, and then over here I need to carry on with that work. So it's looking pretty good to me. This is underneath the tunnel, so you can see on this side I've drilled out the spot welds, so that looks pretty good. On this side the spot welds were a pain, so I just ground them out at various intervals. But you can see up inside the tunnel it doesn't look too bad. Like that is rusty, and it's rusty all the way along, so I need to get myself a sandblaster or something and remove all of these bits of wire and then just sandblast up in here. But it looks alright. There's the torsion tube that I put in before. I need to continue to weld that into place. This is my welding that I did last time, and it's not the best, but it's also not too bad. So once I grind down the welds there, I think it will look pretty good. Here's a little view inside. This is the view inside the inner sill. So before I started removing metal, it was all this rusty, and it clearly just needs to be changed out. So I'm going to continue to cut out. You can see here that I've trimmed the metal all the way along there, and so I need to just keep removing stuff. This is the inner sill, which I will have to address. I don't know how to get to it because this heater tube's in the way. If you're someone that knows about these Porsches, let me know. Should I take this out? Should I leave it there? I clearly need to do something about this piece of steel here, and it feels like this is in the way, so don't know what to do with that. Let me know if you know. I need to start welding in this new panel, but before I do, I need to be addressing all of the rust that's inside all of these areas. So I want to get myself a sandblaster or something so that I can really get up inside all of these crevices and remove all the rust. So I'm cleaning up inside this tunnel, and you can see here that I've been rubbing the rust off with my spinny drill, and it's, I think, okay. Most of the rust is coming off really easily. It's just very light surface rust. So what I'm going to do is just clean off as much as I can, and then I will hit it with some etch primer, and that should convert any residual rust into metal, and then it should be good to go. Although I think I should actually use galvanized coating for these bits, because I'm going to weld them. Turn off. I need to tackle this area here, and it doesn't look good. This is all rusted out from underneath. When I first bought the car, I put this panel in, so it's just a piece of steel that I've made, and because I welded it from the front, obviously these welds at the back are not very tidy. So first things first, I will have to grind all of this down, and really I just put this in to strengthen the car because the car was full of holes and I wanted to get some strength into it before I started cutting it up. So that's why I did that, but it will be fine to use. I just need to improve the welds and tidy it all up. And then this piece of steel here, this is what somebody else has welded on at some point. So you can see this is just a patch that's been sort of put over the original parts. So I'm going to cut that piece out now. With those panels cut away, here's a better look inside this rear section. So it's a bit of a mess. So this is the piece that I previously put in, and it's welded in there. So I just need to grind this back a bit, clean this weld up and put a seam sealer in there. Under here, this is where the old floor pan was, and all of this just needs to be tidied up and just redone. It's a huge mess. Here, this bit I just need to cut out and start again, but I'm nervous about removing too much metal all at once, so I think I'm going to just trim it here, clean up all this area that the floor pan will attach to, and this bit, and all these bits that will be hard to get to once the floor pan is in place. But I really want to install the floor pan before I start tackling all of this, because I'm a bit nervous about taking too much metal off at once. So that's I think what I'll do. Here's the line of where the rear of the floor pan goes, so anything that way from there I can tackle later on. So for now I think I will just take my grinder to all of this stuff, clean it all up and see how it turns out. There's the new floor pan ready to go in, and it feels like it will go in pretty easily. All of this stuff is this. I know you guys are going to shout at me in the comments. This is something I put in when I first started out because there was big holes inside, and so I got this piece of steel and I figured it would reinforce the strength in a way, which I wanted to do. So that is literally a piece of bed frame that I've put into the car, but it does a job. You can't see a hole now from the inside and it's welded in pretty well, so I'll clean that up as well. And all of this is just chaos. I'm having a very rough mock-up just to have a look to see how things might turn out, and it looks pretty good to me. So on this side I cut out a lot of that lower section on the side because it was just totally rotten, and here's a bit that I made previously, and there's the back that I've cleaned up. There's a gap all the way around, but I can close that up obviously. And it looks pretty good. It looks like stuff is lining up for me, so I think I'm minded to just press on and throw this thing in the car. I don't know, I think I should probably put the floor pan in before I start fabricating up stuff on that side, so that I've got something to weld to that's a solid base. But it looks alright, it looks pretty good, and I really want to get a floor in. So I've got a solid base. This is the other side where previously it was the black and all my old rubbish welding. I've cleaned all that up and it looks pretty good. Again, here there's a cut piece of metal on this side there, so I'll have to weld something to that later on. But all of this side is going to end up coming off the car, I think, because you can see there this sheet metal is not really very good. So either way I'd have to patch it. Down here there's a bit of filler and stuff going wrong, so I'm probably going to have to take this outer wing off anyway to work on stuff. So I might as well, you see all of that there, that needs work. So I might as well get the floor in, and then I can just start from a solid base in the centre of the car and then sort of work my way up backwards on that side. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to get this panel back out of place, spray everything up underneath and weld it in. So this is the underneath of the car, and I'm getting ready to put in a new piece of steel here. It's not perfect, but I've tried to remove the old paint and rust and stuff, and I'm just going to go for it. This car is going together today, so I've got myself some cold galvanising spray. I've rubbed off all the rust that I can underneath here, and I'll do it off camera just to be a bit careful, but I'm going to just basically galvanising spray the hole underneath. I'll try not to get anything I shouldn't get, so I'm going to do this off camera. I'm preparing the inside of the car for putting in the new floors. So here I've just gone around, and I'll clean all of this up in a minute as I put the floor in, but I've just cut all of these slits. Some of these were here from when I cut out the old spot welds, just found that easier to do, and some of these I've just put in, and that will help me to weld through into the floor pan underneath. So I'm under the car and I've got my panel in situ mocked up, and I'm going to spray a little line so you can see that my new panel's butted up against the old one, or it's overlapping. So I'm going to spray it, and then when I take this one away there should be a line on this one which I can cut. This car is starting to come together a little bit here. So I've got the floor in and it's just lightly in place. I've put in just a couple of tack welds, so one here and one down there, and there's one over there. So my plan is just to use this bit of wood with my frame, and I'm just gonna put my weight on there. So I'll put some weight on that from the underneath, and then just sort of hammer it in as I go. So basically all this metal will need to be shaped into place as I go. That's the best way I know to do this. So if you know a different way, let me know. But yeah, that's the plan. And I'm going to use these clamps as well to hold it all together so that the sheet metal is overlapping the way it should be for when I do the welding. And like here, this is all bent up obviously, but as I go around I'll use my hammer and pop maybe a chisel and a hammer and dolly set up and just work all this metal so it all kind of meets. Over here I'm not going to do this up because I'm not sure yet whether I will change this floor. The front floor on this side at least is pretty good, and I don't really want to have to mess with where all the pedals are. I don't think there are any holes in this side at all except underneath this sill, so I could just change a little piece there. Over there there's quite a bit more holes, so I'll probably change that front corner and maybe cut it halfway and weld across to the end. But it looks pretty good, so that's what I'm going to carry on with, is just welding in all of these panels. So I'm finishing up for the day and it's looking okay to me. I got this floor pan partially in, so it's in position. This section here I'm going to replace, so I'm not going to worry about welding this or getting the exact cut. And I'm just going to carry on next time and keep welding all of these bits in. Some of these sections are too thin, so probably here, maybe this bit, and over that side the metal's just a bit too thin to work with, so I will have to cut some pieces out and weld in new ones. But that's partly the reason that I wanted to get this floor pan in, so that I've got something solid to work from and to anchor to as I build this car up. So once the floor pan is in and all of this section is sorted out a bit, I'll be able to get this section here in and then start to build up the rear quarter. So I'm really excited about that, and thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again very soon.